Hey guys, AnimeWestReacts here. We're going to be reacting to Talentless Nana, chapter 110. Almost said 1010, but no. Chapter 110. So yeah, cover page being Ren and Kyoya with everyone else, him leading the way. And kind of their younger selves behind them, looking at each other. This chapter is fully prepared. So yeah, we got Ren back. Says, "You've finally done it, Kyoya." And he says, thanks to you guys. Old man says, "This building has a lot of empty rooms. Feel free to grab a bed to sleep in." And he says, "So what will you do now?" And then Nana says, "I can give you the outline." Says, "You remember Sachiko here. She can use her teleportation to teleport herself along with whatever vehicle she's inside." And Nana, or the old guy says vehicle, and then Nana says, "We're currently building a boat somewhere else. When it's done, we'll teleport it into the underground water storage area and have everyone board it. And then you'll teleport us to the island." And then Red, I think is his name, says, "Can I butt in?" And he says, "We have kids and elderly. Can you get them all safely underground while the army is watching?" And Sachiko says, "I'll protect them." Nana says, "We're going to blow open the service gate and steal a train as a distraction. Can you help evacuate everyone while the military is focused on us?" Red says, "I guess I'll have to. There's a lot of entry points to the sewers. People can use the one closest to them, then regroup at the water storage area." The old man then says, "I'll tell those who always wanted to escape and have them split into groups." Nana says, "I can help spread the word too." And he says, "Also, don't share the finer details of the plan with everyone beforehand." And he says, "Unfortunately, I can't guarantee that someone won't betray us." And so Nana says, "Thanks for the warning." Sachiko then says, "I'll go see how Seiya's getting along." Red says, "Boss and I will gather supplies. We don't want to escape just to starve. We know where the military keeps their stores of goods. Anyone want to help?" And so Mogo says, "Leave it to me." And Kira says, "And me." And Nana says, We're finally in the home stretch. Everyone, let's do this." And everyone says, "Woohoo, heck yeah." And yeah, says, "Come on, Akira, let's go kick some military butt." He says, "No need to sneak." No, we need to sneak." And then Rin kind of opens her eyes and looks. And so yeah, then we got Seiya is able to can't do it. Creates a big thing of ice, but yeah, he says, "I give up, I can't do it. I prefer sports cars to boats anyway." And they say, "Stop whining." And they're like, "Just give it one more go, yeah? The others are still working hard." And Sachiko says, "Hey, Seiya, I brought brought you some backup." And then the eyes. He says, "Hello, honey. I was just creating a luxury liner for you to travel in." So yeah, it shows the boat and then the car. And it says, "Odd broke again. Give me a minute. I'll get it right this time." And Kiyomi's like, "It's love." Sachiko says, "That's love." And then Moe's like, "That's love?" And we got someone looking at a map. Kyoya asking Rin, "What would you like for dinner? Anything you want?" And she just ignores him. He says, "I'm really sorry for leaving you alone for so long, but even though I might have forgotten your name, I never forgot you." And she says, "Curry rice." And he's like, "Curry rice? Yeah. Oh, okay. You got it. I'll tell Red. Finally spoke to me. I'll be right back." And she says, "Thank you." Nana says, "Maybe you should say that to Kyoya." She says, "You can tell him for me." And then Nana's like, "You're Kyoya's little sister, right?" And then, yeah, she says, "If I say no, all your hard work goes to waste." And Nana says, "And you're a talented." And he says, "Not right now." He says, "They shot me up with weird drugs and nullified my talent. It's only temporary." And so we got the others. The old guy returning says, "Welcome back." And he says, "Who's this?" And then the old guy says, "I wanted to introduce you. This is my nephew." And he says, "I'm one of the scientists researching Talented at the base. I'd like to ask if you'll take me with you when you go." And then Nana says, "You're a researcher?" He says, "I was brought here with my family. Day after day, they make me perform inhumane experiments on the Talented. He can't take it anymore." And he says, "At first, I went along with it. Soroka said we were trying to save them from turning into monsters. He says, I deeply regret that now. That man, no amount of cruelty is too much for him. He'll even remove someone's brain while they're still alive." Nana says, "Do you think there's another way to save them?" And then he says, "If the Talented are willing to work with me, I'd like to find it. I'm not going to throw aside the research I've already done, not when it costs so many lives." Nana says, "I won't ask you to, please. We'd welcome your help." And he says, "There are others in my team who feel like I do. I'll speak to them. I'll also grab as much research material as I can." And Nana says, "Thank you." He says, "By the way, does the name Jin Tachibana ring any bells? He's a Talented." Yeah. Rena's just like, "Oh." And then she says, "We think he might be being held at the base." And then he says, "I've heard the name, but he wasn't one of mine." And then Nana says, "Are there other Talented at the base?" And the researcher says, "No, not any who are still alive, no. Ren Onodera was considered to be the last live subject in the base." And then Nana's like, "Oh no." Like, you see, she looks sad and she just shakes her head and says, "Okay, thank you for joining us. We're just putting the last preparations together right now. Stay safe until we're ready to leave." And then, yeah, we see Sachiko, Moguo, and yeah. Soroka says, "The civilians have started moving around." And then one of the soldiers says, "They appear to be preparing to escape." And he says, "We knew that. How?" So yeah. He asks how they plan to escape. And the guard says, "We captured and interrogated several civilians, but none of them seem to know, and apparently they'll be informed via telepathy on the day of the escape." And then, yeah, Sorok says, "It's been 3 days since Onodera's escape. What of Hiragi?" Says, "We caught several of her companions raiding our supply warehouses last night, but they either teleported out or sank into the shadows and disappeared." And Michiru, soon kill count 150,000. And then, yeah, he points at her. So he gets Michiru's profile and, like, taps it with his finger, and then one of the soldiers says, "Sir, what are your orders?" He says, Send more men to the service gate." And then, yeah, he just, like, has his finger on Michiru's picture. And then there's a noise. And yeah, Moe runs in and says, "Shinpai." And Nana's like, "Morning, Moe." And she says, "Mo." And then screams. Yeah, he's like, "Shinpai, are you and Shizuka sleeping together now?" And Nana's like, "I mean, yeah." "How could you? What about me?" And it's like, I was like, "Something happened on the island." And it says, "Right, it's finally done." And it says, "The boat." And then, yeah, they say, "I finished it. Let's go see." It's like, "Wake up, Shizuka." "Yeah, what do you want? Let me sleep." And then Moe says, "Shizuka, what have you been doing while I've been hard at work on the island?" She's like, "Shut up." And she says, "Sis and I have been going around camp assigning people to groups and putting plans into place. We just finished yesterday. What did you do?" And then Moe's like, "I've been cheering Seiya on. And I did a lot of fishing." I was like, "What the hell?" And she gets up and, yeah, it's like, "Morning, sis." It's like, she's like, "Hurry up." I'm like, yeah, getting ready. And so, yeah, the boat is finished. And Seiya's like, "What do you think of my masterpiece?" "Yeah, you really did it." They say, Moe says we should celebrate. Shizuka says, we can celebrate when we're all safely on the island. And Nana says, Shizuka's right, still, we're finally ready. And Kyoya says, okay, let's do it. Nana says, yeah, and says, tomorrow is the day. So, alright, tomorrow they put the plan into action, because that's the end of this chapter. But yeah, hope y'all enjoy this video. If you do, then leave a like on it, sub to this channel, hit that notification bell. And yeah, I will see y'all, I guess, next month for whenever the next chapter comes out. So, later.